The thing is, when I first started at the PD, I was a hit because it was training camp, and my training camp reports are good. They're descriptive.
Yeah, they are.
They have people like them. So all of a sudden, I was a big hit right off the bat, and people like me the entire first year. I'll never forget. Yeah, because I'm writing people. I'm a pretty good writer. I'm not as good as my dad, but I'm pretty good. I think I'm descriptive, and I have opinions. And I don't know. Anyway, so people like me at first. There was a 49ers web zone meet and greet at Candlestick. Matt Mayoka went, and a bunch of the questions were, "What's Grant Cohn like?" He told me that. He's like, "Keep it up." But I blew it. The next year, during the lead up to the draft, I came down really hard on the Niners for drafting AJ Jenkins. I was 24. I was right, but I hadn't built up the cachet to say it. And once I was critical of the team, fans were like, you know what? Screw, I don't like this kid anymore. Who the hell does he think he is? He's 24 and he's Lowell Cohn's son. And now he gets to have an opinion. Screw you. Nepotism. So I lost it. And then I got into a beef with Anthony Davis and really lost it. And it took me 8 years. I was like the heel of the beat core after that. I mean, it was your duty as a fan, as a player, to not like me after 2012. So I blew that one. But it took me a while. I had to figure it out.
So you started out hot.
I did start out hot. I had a very good first year.
And then it was 12 when they took Jenkins?
Man, the Niners tried to take my credential away.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, so I wrote an article about Anthony Davis. It was in minicamp. The Niners had signed Randy Moss, who was old, and a lot of these players grew up watching him, and he caught a touchdown in practice, and it was like turning back the clock till we were all 10. And Anthony Davis had kind of a Mike Tyson voice, and he yelled touchdown very loud, but it was in a kind of a squeak. So I was a jerk. So I wrote touchdown, Anthony Davis squealed.
Oh,
I was just trying to use a descriptive verb because that's how I was taught.
Yeah, you're a writer.
I'm a jerk. And so he read it like right after practice and flipped out on Twitter. Like, all these professional beat writers, this kid is making him look bad. How did he get in here? And then he started a hashtag called Stop Cohn that was trending for 4 days. 4 days. Everyone loved it. I mean, the whole Bay Area.
You were already a villain because of the.
Oh yeah, and this was like, let's take out Grant now. Like, he's vulnerable. The fans are going for him. The players are going for him. Let's get him right now. And I let it go for 4 days, and then I was like, man, I got to do something. So me and my dad were like, all right, let's figure this out. And I do some crazy stuff now. Crazy stuff. I mean, like the videos I made about Mike McGlinchey last year, that was wild. All we did was a blog called the Anthony Davis Writing Contest, where it was, Anthony Davis didn't like my choice of words in this one sentence. So I'm going to take it out like a Mad Lib, and I'm going to ask you, what would you put into this word? What should I use instead? What's a better word? And because I did that, and apparently because I went up to him on the practice field and tried to squash it, and I was like, Anthony, you're not mad at me. There's no beef here. They pulled my credential. I couldn't go to the rest of mini camps, and I was out until training camp. They said it was an organizational decision, which apparently means from Jed York down. And the PD had to go to bat for me. They had to be like, no, we don't want you to say who's going to cover you for us. We want Grant. We like Grant. And if they had never done that, I would have been done right there. Right there. Yep. Career over. They tried to the Niners tried to put a stop to me before I got too big, and they almost succeeded, but now they got a problem.
They got a monster on their hands.
They got a problem.
Yeah.
And it's Robert Saleh's fault.
We're gonna get there, Grant. We're gonna get there. That's a good nugget. Real quick, because this is fascinating. Was this the low point in your career by far?
Oh no, man. I've had so many low points. You don't understand, man. This was 24. It would get way worse for me. I was still thinking, man, this is a speed bump. I'm going to be fine. It's my second year in the game. I'm still learning. Nah, man. I thought, no, dude, no. You want me to go through some of the losses, the L's I took? Okay.
We're gonna get to where you're at.
I can tell you all the L's I took between then and now. All right.
I want to hear
the L's.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, all the places I've applied to that didn't want me. Let me see. I'm going to go through it and try not to get myself in trouble because some of this is like sensitive information. But the Chronicle, when they were hiring, who retired? One of their columnists retired, and Gwen Knapp left, and they wanted another columnist. Their editor took me out to lunch, hired Ann Killian instead. Maybe he made a good choice. Ann's really good, but okay. The Chronicle didn't want me. CSN Bay Area told me that they didn't want me to write freelance for them anymore. I gave them a piece and they're like, we have to talk about our arrangement going forward. I was like, okay, so I'll just stop. The PD never wanted to give me a full-time job. They always said we don't have a spot for it. Finally, by 2017, I applied with another, because my dad left. He had to retire. Then they said there was a spot open. They still didn't apply. They still didn't. They made me wait for a year. I went out to dinner with them. I went to a bunch of interviews and I got a call right before the season started. It's not going to happen. Sorry. So they didn't want me when Matt Barrows left the Sacramento Bee. I applied there. They never even got back to me. ESPN didn't want me. I was freelancing for Bleacher Report, $25 an article. $25 an article. Good in God. 2015. They cut me off. Like, we don't want you anymore. You don't bring any value to us. They didn't want me at $25 an article, Bleacher Report. I keep going. I mean, I applied for KNBR after Kevin Jones got fired, and they had me in for an interview, didn't take me, took Kevin Lynch instead, who quit 3 months later. KNBR didn't want me. The Athletic never responded to me when I tried to get apply there. I mean, every single place, the Mercury never responded. I just got shut out. So what I was thinking was I was going to get the hell out of the Bay Area. That I was basically being discriminated against because of my dad. Like, a lot of people don't like my dad and they can't get him because he's made, and they're going to go after me. That's how I felt. I was like, man, I can't make it in this market. I got to leave. So I started trying to get in with Sports Illustrated, but the magazine. And in 2016, I got a deal to write an article for their magazine. Like, you know how like one of the 5 articles that month, and it was on. They wanted me to write, like, what is the real story of the offseason for players? And I was like, it's how they move all the time and who helps them move, because the players don't do anything. It's their wives. And so it's the story of how wives coordinate their husbands' lives. And it was a cool story. I talked to a bunch of different wives, and it was supposed to be in one of the issues. They paid me $3,000. $3,000 for an article. I was 27. I was like, hell yeah. I was thinking, I'm going to be in freaking Sports Illustrated. All these people that didn't want me can, kiss my butt, and I'm going to be a star. Yeah. And then Serena Williams won Wimbledon, and I was informed that I got bumped to the it's okay. I still got the money, and I was in the website. Then I got to do another one for $1,500 for the website, which I thought was even better, on the untold story of the Super Bowl between the Raiders and Washington. Anyway, that's online too. And then everything I pitched to SI got rejected, and they said, stop contacting us. So that fell through. And every time I felt like I had a foothold to get out, it fell through. I also got an offer to have a weekly show on 95.7 The Game. This was a couple of years ago. I announced it on Twitter. Hey, I'm going to have a weekly show on 95.7 The Game. That got someone pulled the plug on that before it even started. And I know who it was, and I'm not going to say. Someone who works there. So, I mean, there's been a lot of people who have made it their business to make sure that I couldn't advance. So really, when did I kind of go through like despair?
Is there a moment you wanted to just quit completely?
Yeah, when I didn't get the job at the PD, I felt like I was out of options, because I've been rejected everywhere else. And I felt, well, at least the PD will take care of me. I mean, I've been there 10 years. My dad was loyal to them. They'll be loyal to me. Nope, absolutely not. And so what happened was there was an editor at the PD who I loved for about 5 years, who had my back and let me write for the newspaper and let me kind of make extra money here and there. He left, he retired and went back to Pittsburgh. They brought in a new guy who just didn't know me and didn't like my style. And that's his business. But he just kept taking away like money. Like, hey, this year we have less budget. This year we have less budget. And after the Super Bowl, he made me pay my way to that. He disputed reimbursing me. I had to fight for that. And then he said, well, we're going to have to talk about your coverage going forward. So they were going to cut me off at the PD too. And if this thing at the Sports Illustrated hadn't just fallen in my lap, I didn't know that they were creating team sites. I didn't know they were hiring. They called me. I probably would be down. So there was a moment where a couple of years ago where I thought they were pushing me out at the PD, and my dad was trying to write his memoir, and it wasn't getting published. We were both walking through a cemetery over here on Piedmont Avenue, and we both, symbolism isn't lost on us. We're like, man, we're dead. We're both dead right now. Our careers are in the grave. And since then, we have pulled ourselves out of the grave. It's been a good couple of years for both of us. But yeah, man, it was bleak. At 31, I felt like I had failed and wasted a decade of my life.
How does your confidence, and I'm sure it did, how does your confidence not just be just shattered?
That's what my dad would say to me. He's like, how do you keep getting up? He's
Yeah.
like, I never took this many losses. Because when my dad got in the game, all he heard was yes. He applied to Sports Illustrated as someone who had never been a journalist before, or just a guy who was writing. He was doing film critiques at the Palo Alto Times. You know, he had been at Stanford. He was like applied to the local newspaper, got it. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to write an article for Sports Illustrated. Screw it. And they said, this is great. Like, so my dad always had people saying he was a phenomenon. And then he's like, wait, I'm going to apply to the to the Chronicle. And he got it. You know, he was just a total phenomenon. And I wasn't. Like, I stumbled for a decade. And he's like, man, I just don't know how you keep getting up. But the way I kept feeling was, okay, if I quit, what do I do? If I quit, then I feel like a failure. I hate myself, and I go back to the 49ers web zones and the Warriors world. I mean, I'm not going to change my life. It's just, again, an admission of failure and doing what I want to do for free instead of for money. So it was never an option. Right. Although I did consider becoming an Uber driver, and I probably would have if I had a 4-door car that wasn't beat up. I had a 2-door car that was disgusting. No one would get in that. And then right before I got the job at Sports Illustrated, I'm in this 1-bedroom apartment, and it's the rent is $1,700. It's nothing. But when I was at SI, it was like the whole thing. So there was a thing. Hey, if you want to be the apartment manager here, half off. And I almost applied, but the thing is, you have to be on call 24/7. Hey, I need a new lamp.
Can't do it.
And I almost like, yeah, I got to do it, man. So I was that desperate.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's in this all sort of
also like it's all coming back up. As they were pushing me out of the PD, the editor there, God love him, would say stuff like, man, you're so good, dude. You should be a bartender. Get a little extra cash. I don't want to be a bartender. I'm trying to be a full journalist. Can you give me some more work? Why don't you go work at a bar? Nah. Thanks, man. No.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Wow. It was 11 to 19. This all took place.
Yep. That's 8 years. And what's crazy is all the people that I worked with at the PD are gone. All the people who didn't want me. Hey, all the people who wouldn't advance me are gone. I mean, a bunch of them left. And then I don't know if you saw it recently, but there was this story of this mayor of Windsor. I don't know if you know about this, but there's like a 39-year-old mayor of Windsor who was assaulting hella ladies, sexually assaulting hella ladies. And it was a big scandal. Okay. Apparently a reporter at the Press Democrat knew about this years ago, this is big news, went to the top of the publisher and said, this is what I found. And they buried it. We don't want to pursue this story. Good. So the reporter went to the Chronicle, and the Chronicle exposed them. And the PD had to answer questions like, how did you not, this was in your backyard. And they're like, yeah, we did know about this. And so that means that they're culpable. And they could have stopped him years ago, and they didn't. So a lot of people quit. A lot of people resigned. And I'm not saying that I take pleasure in that. It's just wild. The place that I was desperately trying to work for 10 years, they kind of went on. They kind of sunk a little bit. So I kind of got lucky. It was a sinking ship. I'm sorry. I don't want to come on the show and seem like I'm hella bitter and the PD didn't believe in me and they didn't believe in me. Like, I'm very grateful that they gave me 10 years. I was bitter that they didn't advance my career, but they had their reasons. It's just ironic that something I wanted so bad was really the wrong place for me.
This is all important, man, because not everybody's story is the same. This is your story. And that was 10 years of a lot of rejection and a lot of, what you were paid over that time. Most people would have, you know what I mean?
I think I've been paid more in the last 12 months than I made in that previous 10 years. No doubt.
Wow.
No doubt.